What is going on, NFC South Roundtable? We hope that you guys are doing good. You guys saw us not too long ago, just a few days ago, at least when you guys are watching this. It's only about 10 minutes ago for us, but a few days for you guys by the time you're watching this, and you guys absolutely showed out. Real quick, I want to give a massive shout out to everybody who tuned in to our stream breaking down week one. It got a little chippy. We had a lot of fun, but you guys showed out. 360 of you guys showing up. That is a record here live for the NFC South Roundtable, and we also hit 1,000 subscribers live too. So we appreciate you guys so much. We are going to be here all season long. You guys are not going to want to miss out. So make sure you are subscribed, have that bell notification turned on, and of course, like this video because it helps support us significantly. But today we are going to be previewing week 2. I mean, look, a lot of great matchups week 1, especially for some of the teams in this division, some upsets in this division too. Are your teams going to bounce back, or are they going to continue to fall down or continue to rise? We are going to hear from each of your creators. But before we do that, real quick, do want to give a massive shout out to the sponsors of this video over at BetUS. Let me pull this thing up here real quick. Can you guys see that? I don't think you guys can. No? Can you guys see that now? Perfect.
Yeah.
There we go. So for those of you who don't know BetUS, they are the exclusive sports book here for Roundtable Sports and here at the NFC South Roundtable all football season long. And you know what? They are upping their offer. Instead of a 125% sign-up bonus, they are now giving you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. To get this deal, very, very simple. All you guys have to do is sign up for BetUS. Just type in BetUS, get the app, sign up, super quick, super simple, and use that promo code YouTube150. That is YouTube150 to get that 150% sign-up bonus. You put down $100, that turns into $250 for you to play with. More money you put in, obviously, the more money you get out. BetUS is also giving you a 200% crypto deposit bonus, fastest payouts in the industry, fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering on all major games, best betting variety in the business. BetUS can even give you a 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year and can give you your very own personalized account manager. Now, if you guys are looking to have a little bit of extra fun, of course, make sure you play smart, make sure you play responsibly. If you or someone you know or love is dealing with an issue, make sure you reach out and get the help you need. BetUS, if you go to their website, they actually can guide you to getting the help you need if you are having an issue, which is very, very cool of them. But here, Los Angeles Chargers, Carolina Panthers. Looks like right now the Chargers, they are the favorites with the over-under being 39 there. So if you're a Panthers fan, make sure you guys go ahead and get in on that. New Orleans Saints and Dallas Cowboys. Right now, looks like the Cowboys are the favorites with the over-under being 46 points. If you're a Saints fan watching, make sure you guys go ahead and check out BetUS for those lines. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Detroit Lions. Wow, you guys have a tough week 2 schedule. My God. Right now, it looks like the Detroit Lions are also the favorites over the Buccaneers. Over-under is going to be 52 points. And then finally, if you are a Falcons fan, you're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, Eagles favorited, and the over-under is 47 points. So without further ado, guys, I mean, let's just start talking about these games because, at least from what I saw, y'all are not favored. I don't think any of you guys are favored in your matchups this week. But you know what? We love that. We love that. You know, we love the underdog mentality. So, Clay, let's start with you because we want to show you love. Remember, Clay, we love you. You matter. Everything's going to be okay, buddy. We want to show you some love after you got spanked last week. So, why don't you talk to me about this game?
Oh, man. This Chargers pass rush. I mean, good luck, Bryce Young. When we talk, first off, you got to think about the Chargers with Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. They could be coming to ruin Bryce Young's day, maybe his career. I don't know. Maybe the Saints already did that, but you know, between the two of them, they've combined over like 171 sacks over their careers, and they don't care who the quarterback is now. Herbert's no joke on that. On the other side of the ball, that we're gonna have to deal with Justin Herbert. He's been a one-man show for the Chargers since day one. Setting rookie records, dragging his team out the mud when they need it. So the Chargers are just on a roll. The question is right now, can Carolina bounce back? And to me, I'm going to say probably not until proven otherwise. The Panthers got their asses handed to them by the Saints, and now they're supposed to just magically rebound against a well-oiled Chargers machine. I just don't hold your breath, Panthers fans. Like, Dave Canales has been preaching about new attitude, but that feel-good offseason vibe to me just evaporated the moment that game started in New Orleans. There are no room for excuses anymore. Carolina looked like a JV team, and if they don't figure it out quick, they're in for another disaster. The Chargers are tough, physical. They dominate the line of scrimmage. Harbaugh is going to make the Panthers feel every bit of that, especially since Tepper passed on hiring him. And let's be real, Carolina isn't ready for this kind of smoke. Week 1 was an absolute mess, and it's hard to see things for me to get better week 2. This offense is a joke. The defense is banged up. The Chargers are on the roll. It's going to be another long, painful afternoon in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oof. TJ, why don't you give us your thoughts on the Panthers matchup for this week real quick?
Well, let me talk you off the ledge there, Clay, just for a second, man. Like, I wanna say this. I think that a lot of what happened in that game was the Panthers didn't know how to approach the Saints. I mean, this was a new offense. They were doing some things that I don't think they were prepared for. And also, I feel like the Saints had the competitive advantage from their knowledge of Dave Canales during his time with Tampa. So I think that kind of paid dividends for them. So they knew how to kind of attack this football team. So I think you'll probably see a much better version of the Carolina Panthers. I don't think they're going to get smoked. I just think that they weren't prepared for it. I think that now, a week has passed. I think that you're probably going to see a little bit better of a performance. I don't think they're going to win this game, but I think they're going to play a lot better, man. I mean, we got to understand, like, man, these coaches burn the midnight oil to try to find a competitive advantage. And it's kind of hard for you to know how to attack a team when you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know their tendencies. I mean, you can't watch the Saints from last year because it's a completely different offense. Now I actually have a little bit of film on the Chargers to know how they're going to attack you. And I feel like the defense will be a little bit more prepared as well as the offense. So,
respect. Smitty, why don't you give us your thoughts on this matchup?
I hate agreeing with TJ, but he's right on the money. Familiarity kills all, man. When you know a team and you know how coaches coach, that makes preparation just a tad bit easier. But again, gotta agree. I ain't got nothing else to add.
Love
Shout
it.
out TJ.
Short, simple, to the point. All right, Mr. Bucs Nation, why don't we go on over to you?
No, I agree with the guys here. Like, look, I think I said it during the live show. I'll say it again here. Like, there's no way the Panthers can be worse than what we saw in week 1.
Y'all
right?
just being nice now.
And well,
Not really.
I want to make sure you're okay.
Not really, man.
That's true. I mean, like, I do think that the Panthers will be a more competitive team in this matchup. I don't think they're going to win, as we talked about in the live show. Unfortunately, look, the injury to Derek Brown sucks a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that is such an unfortunate. He's the best. Is he the best player on their team? He's probably the best player on their team. Like, so to lose that guy for a defense that's already still trying, for a team that's still trying to find its way, you lose one of your young, bright leaders and players. That's just a gut punch while you're down on the ground, Anyway, so like, I do think the Chargers, aren't necessarily one of the best teams in the world right now. They showcased some ability in their week 1 win against the Las Vegas Raiders, but I still think the Panthers will be competitive in this matchup, obviously more so than they were last week. But again, losing Derek Brown, such a huge blow to that team. I don't think they'll win this game, but again, I think you will see improvement because it can't get much worse from where they are now.
All right, TJ, let's go on over to you. Why don't you break down your matchup for the Saints for the upcoming week? You guys are going up against the Dallas Cowboys, right? Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and give me the preview for this game?
Well, unlike last week, this is going to be a tougher game, of course. The Dallas Cowboys like them tonight. Do they get too much media press? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, this is a really good football team right here. Mike McCarthy, I think there's a really good coach. Mike Zimmer being a new defensive coordinator, he's putting an emphasis on the running game for the run defense for the Dallas Cowboys, something that they had issues with last season. I mean, we all know that the Dallas Cowboys defensively, they like to generate turnovers, man. And I just think that what they're probably going to do, they probably watched the game last week, so they're going to put an emphasis on stopping the run. They're going to try to stop the run and try to put it into the hands of Derek Carr. Look, man, I'm not naive. Like, I understand that Derek Carr is not going to win games for you week in, week out. I think that what the Saints did with Derek Carr is exactly what they need to do if they're going to generate success this season, which is minimize the opportunities for him to throw the ball and put the ball into his hands. So I expect for the New Orleans Saints to try to run the football, to try to impose their will on the Dallas Cowboys. I also want people to understand this. I understand that a lot of people think that this might be a blowout and maybe it was just fool's gold, but what you have is, and Clint Kubiak is a guy that's very familiar with Mike Zimmer. Back in 2021, Mike Zimmer hired Clint Kubiak as his offensive coordinator. So I think that could be an advantage for the New Orleans Saints also. The fact that, you have a guy that went up against a Mike Zimmer's defense week in, week out during training camp and in all-season activities with the Minnesota Vikings for that 1 year. So he doesn't go into the game blind. He knows what Mike Zimmer's defense is all about. But at the same time, Mike Zimmer knows what the offense that Clint Kubiak is trying to bring to the table is all about. I think that this is going to be a close game. You look at the Dallas Cowboys last week, even though the score may have implicated a blowout, but it wasn't just because Dak Prescott lit the world on fire or the running game was just top notch. It was a combination of offense, defense, and special teams. So the Saints are going to have to play pretty much flawless in this game. They had 10 penalties. Nobody's really talking about that because, the score was pretty much insurmountable. But they had a lot of things that they're going to have to clean up if they're going to be competitive in this game. You have 10 penalties against the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to get beat. It's just as simple as that. So hopefully they can minimize the mistakes, make sure that they play their best game. And hopefully by the end of by the fourth quarter, you're pretty much lock and step there. So I think that they have a really good chance of winning this football game. And to be quite honest, I think they will win this football game.
All right. I love it. I love the optimism. Mr. Bucs Nation, let's go on over to you. What do you think about Saints and Cowboys?
Man, this is going to be a sneakily good game, I think. Like, this could be one of the more fun to watch games this upcoming week. I think it's going to be a defensive war between these two teams. I mean, look, you're going to have CeeDee Lamb going up against Marshawn Lattimore. Good Lord, that's going to be one heck of a matchup, right? And then Dak, Ezekiel Elliott's back in the mix. Like, it's not the, most stacked offense in the world that the Cowboys could possibly have. But for the Cowboys defense, look, DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, going up against, admittedly not the best Saints offensive line in the world, right? Like, I could see this being a very close, low scoring type of game where both offenses are just really struggling to get anything going here throughout the, course of the game. I do have the Cowboys winning this. I think ultimately they will get the win here, but like I said, again, two really good defenses here going head to head. I do give the Cowboys a little bit of an edge here just because, again, like Micah Parsons is in there. They have some good star power on both sides of the ball. I think they just have a little bit more talented of a roster here versus what the Saints have. Also, hey, Brandon Cooks, maybe a revenge game here. I don't know. We'll see. but I think this should be a really fun matchup that people should definitely watch.
Yeah. Clay, let's go on up over to you.
Yeah, obviously I got to see what the Saints are made of right now firsthand, but they're facing a team like Dallas in Jerry World. This isn't a team that you want to mess around with, right? I mean, Dallas isn't Carolina. I think the Cowboys are legit contenders this year. They've been eating teams alive with the defense. I mean, 6 sacks in the opener. I mean, Micah Parsons is out here wrecking games like he's on a personal mission to, collect quarterbacks. The game I think is going to come down to is which quarterback keeps his head straight under pressure. Like, Dak has that experience. He's got the weapons. But on the other side, the Saints are going to need to show they can handle the heat. Like, New Orleans going to managed 4 sacks last week. So they're going to need every bit of that pass rush if they want to keep Dak from picking them apart. Chase Young's, it's time to earn that paycheck, right? And Dallas is 4-1 against the spread as a favorite on the road since last season. So they're in a comfortable spot. I look at the Saints aren't walking out of this with a win. I think it's going to be close too. I think Dallas is just a little bit too well-rounded, a little bit too aggressive, and they're just a better team right now. So I think New Orleans has a chance, but I just think Cowboys are just the better team right now.
Smitty, let's go on over to you.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think the Cowboys are just a better team right now. I just think, like TJ said, it comes down to Derek Carr, comes down to Dak Prescott. Which guy can keep their head on the longest? I agree with that 100%. Because at the end of the day, you have CeeDee Lamb on one side with Brandon Cooks on the other side. You have Chris Olave, Taysom Hill, and those guys, Alvin Kamara, who I think is going to have a big game this game. But again, it's about who can outlast the other. And in the end, that comes down to coaching. So I got to trust Mike McCarthy on what he does with that offense over New Orleans. And again, Michael Parsons, I think, is going to have a big game because as TJ said a couple of weeks ago that this offensive line is kind of makeshift. So you got to give Michael Parsons the edge on that. A guy who's had 40.5 sacks first 3 years. You can't overlook that.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting game to watch for sure. Definitely one I'll keep my close eye on. Definitely for sure. But let's go ahead and move on to game 3 of 4 with Mr. Bucs Nation, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be another one. This is going to be a true test, but also this is a playoff rematch from last year. So why don't you break this down for us?
Yeah, I think that obviously coming out of week 1, the Lions won in overtime against the LA Rams. They looked like, again, a very formidable Detroit Lions team. Looks like they haven't really missed a beat. The Bucs are in a very similar boat. You win in week 1 against the Washington Commanders. Look like you haven't really missed a beat in that scenario. The biggest difference here is injuries. The Buccaneers are decimated at the defensive position, at the defensive just unit with injuries right now. Your 2 starting defensive linemen in Kalijah Kancey and Logan Hall. Probably likely that neither one of those guys is going to be playing in this game. Your number 2 cornerback, Zion McCollum, has a concussion. He might not be playing in this game, or is in the concussion protocol, I should say. Your other outside cornerback in Bryce Hall, he has a season-ending ankle injury. He's been placed on the injured reserve. Your cornerback after that in Josh Hayes, another outside cornerback, he had a foot injury that knocked him out of that game. So, and on top of that, you then have Antoine Winfield Jr., who has a foot/ankle sprain. He's going to be out of this game. So that's going to be the biggest deciding factor here. I do think the Lions are going to win this game, unfortunately. And I think one of the biggest reasons because of that is because of how much of the injury bug has bitten the Bucs here, especially in their secondary. Look, the Lions have some pretty good wide receivers in that mix, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, who had a very good week 1 in that mix as well in his own right. I just think the Buccaneers are a bit too banged up right now. I do think it will be a close game. I do think the Buccaneers offense will still be able to go out there, perform, and keep this game close. But unfortunately, I do think the injuries are just going to be a little bit too much to handle for the Bucs when compared with a pretty good Detroit Lions team. But I agree. I think that this is a good litmus test for the Bucs. If they go out there, they still show that they can be competitive, especially with their defense being so injured. I think that showcases some really good things going forward throughout the remainder of the season, that this could be a team that can compete with even the really upper echelon of teams here in the league.
All right, Clay, let's start with you. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I actually liked Tampa in this game until that injury report came out. Like, I think the Tampa has the talent. Like, there's no knock on that. Like, after what we saw against Washington, but with Tampa's injuries, I don't know if it's going to cut it because Detroit's just so much more physical. They're a better prepared team. They're playing at home. I think the Lions, unfortunately, take care of business. I think that it's not like it's going to be a blowout. I see a touchdown like win, right? I think it's going to be close. But if I'm putting my money down right now, looking at these injuries on Tampa's side, I have to go with Detroit.
All righty, Smitty, what do you think?
I'm going to take Detroit in this one, man, and Clay put it perfect. Physicality. And as I looked at the Lions last week, I watched that game against the Rams, man. David Montgomery wore them down in the end, and that was the difference. And I think that's going to be the difference this week, especially with the injury to their top safety. 131 yards between Gibbs and Montgomery and 2 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, Detroit's going to wear them down in the end, man. That's how I'm going to look at it.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun one to watch, especially because, again, in the postseason, this could definitely be a matchup in the wild card round or you know what. But, Smitty, let's go back to you. You talk to us about the final matchup here because, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles against the Packers on Friday in Brazil, they definitely looked human. They definitely look like a team that you can beat. You just have to make sure you shut down Saquon Barkley, right? So why don't you break this game down for us?
I think this game is going to come down to execution. And early on, to be honest, the Packers had the Eagles dead to rights, but they could not capitalize on those early turnovers. And that's what the Falcons have to do. They have to force turnovers. They have to keep Jalen Hurts outside the pocket, keep the edges guarded, keep a spy on him. If they want to beat them, because I think Judon and Grady, who had it second and a half last week, I think those guys are going to be key. That front seven is going to be key in this game. But on offense, I think control the clock, control the football by running. Tyler Algier needs to be a more focal point this week because you talk about the physical football team. You need a power back to take on a physical football team and then try to finish it off with Bijan Robinson in the second half. But Kirk Cousins is another reason why I say run the ball. He did not look comfortable last week. He did not look prepared. And honestly, he did not look 100% healthy. So if that's the case and you know it, try to run the ball, try to chew up as much clock as you can, try to jump out front fast. And I think that is the major key to victory for the Atlanta Falcons this week.
I like it, Smitty. Short, simple, sweet, and to the point. Hopefully your Falcons can definitely come back and get this momentum win. And if you can win this one, I think it's definitely a statement on the Falcons. But TJ, let's go down to you. What do you think?
To be quite honest with you, I think that the Falcons last week did some things that they can actually build on. I thought that maybe Justin Fields would run a little bit more wild than he did. And, that gave me some optimism for this next game. I think that it showed me that they can neutralize Jalen Hurts' running ability and keep him in the pocket. I think the Falcons going to win this football game. I mean, looking at it, I feel like they're going to have to utilize Kyle Pitts. I don't really trust the linebacker group of the Philadelphia Eagles like that. I mean, I know Zach Bond was out there, pass rushing and stuff like that, but I mean, he's a liability in coverage. And I think that if Kyle Pitts can be more of a focal point, and like you said, Tyler Algier running the football, controlling the time of possession, they can get out of there with a victory, man. We've seen that the defense looks pretty legit. This can be, if they make this game muddy, if they can play defensively like they did last week, they can win this football game. I think that this is a really good matchup for them. And I think that they're going to win this football game, believe it or not.
I love it. I love it. James, let's go on over to you.
Look, ultimately, I do like what the Falcons have on the defensive side of the ball. The Eagles have a pretty good defense in terms of their front seven. Not so much the inside linebackers. They do have former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Devin White, which, but I do think the Eagles are the more talented team right now. I do agree with TJ where I do think the Falcons showcase that they can stop mobile quarterbacks, and that's such a huge thing, especially going up against the Eagles. But I think they have so much offensive firepower and have enough pieces on defense to where I do think they will win this game. I still need to see more from the offense here, from Kirk Cousins, from Zach Robinson, their offensive coordinator, before I'm, sold on this offense clicking and getting it together. They can certainly do that in this game, but for right now, I do think the Eagles just have a bit of a more talented roster right now and a lot of good young pieces at a lot of different positions. And I just think it's going to be a bit too much for the Falcons to compete with here. I do think it very well will be a close game, but ultimately I will give the Eagles the win here.
All righty. And Clay, let's finish off here with you.
Yeah, I think Atlanta's got to find some magic on the offense. Like if they can find that magic, avoid the dumb mistakes, they have a chance in this game. I think actually the Philadelphia's defense is actually talented. It's more talented than I think people actually give them credit for. But I think Philly's got the weapons. They got the defense. They have the momentum right now, right? The Falcons, I think, have some soul searching to do. And it's not a lot of soul searching. It's just there are some things there that just need to be fixed. So as of right now, I think it is going to be close. Just right now, I give the slight edge to the Eagles.
All right, guys. It's definitely going to be an interesting week 2. From what's being reported here by BetUS, guys, none of your teams are going to be favored this week, but hopefully we can come back after this, kind of recapping the shows, and some of your teams, if not all of your teams, can come out with the upset. But this is going to end it for today's video, the NFC South Roundtable's preview for week 2. What do you guys agree with? What do you not agree with? And of course, let us know who you think is going to win each game in the comment section below. Make sure to check out, again, BetUS. Go ahead, sign up, use the promo code YouTube 150 rather, for 150% sign up bonus on your first 3 deposits all the way up to $2,000. Make sure you guys leave a like on your way out, and of course subscribe here to the NFC South Roundtable for all of your news and coverage involving each of these 4 teams. We appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.